Hello, my friend. Hopefully that you are doing great. So in this lesson, I want to share you one interesting thing in automation test that we check something is still in the viewport or not. So what does it mean when I say something is still in the viewport? So for example, this plotting menu text here, you can see on the left. So I say that it's still in the viewport because I can still see it in this screen. But after I scroll up, I cannot see it in the viewport anymore because I don't see it here on the page. So when we say something is still in the viewport, so that means manually we can still see it in the page. So the situation now that I want to say that after I scroll to the bottom, I want to check whether you see the page header here still in the viewport or not, right? So how can we do that? Now I want to analyze a little. So how can we calculate this? So the first thing, if I want to check this page header is still in the viewport, that I need to check whether it's still in the horizontal side here. So I mean compare with the screen width here. So that means the element and the left amount here, it should be smaller than the screen width, you see. And now the second thing I want to make sure that this element is not out of the horizontal side here. So to check that, I need to make sure the left value of that element plus width is width amount should be still smaller than the screen width, right? So we have two checkpoints here. So the first thing, let me try to write down. So the element left value should be smaller than screen width, right? And then the second one, that's the element left value plus width is width value, it still should be smaller than the screen width, right? Two checkpoints already. So I want to make sure that it's still in the viewport for the vertical side here. So you see vertical side here. So I need to make sure that the top value of that element is still smaller than the inner height of this screen. And then there's something that you need to remember. If I try to scroll up on the page here, we have another value we call something like page wide offset. So what is it? Try to do something like window dot page wide offset here, enter. You see, now if I don't scroll up, it's still 0. But now after I scroll up, this will be different. You see, it's already 894 pixels here. So that means, just go back here. If I want to check it's still in the vertical side here, I need to make sure that element top value, it should be smaller than the screen height plus width, the amount that we have just scroll up, right? So this is the test verification code. That element top value should be smaller than the Windows height plus with the amount that we scroll down. I think scroll down, not scroll up, scroll down here. So they are two main verification port to check whether an element is still in the viewport, but there's still an edge case that I want to analyze. So for example, let's go back here. So we just need to make sure that it's still in the viewport compared to the top here. But now, for example, maybe, it's out of, because, if it's out of the viewport, so it's on the top. So what we have just said here will not cover for this case. So we need to make sure that, for example, this top value, it should be, bigger than the amount that we have just scrolled. But in this case, it's a little tricky. So you see here, I will scroll very slow for you. You see this amount here? So when I scroll down, you see, it seems we missed something here. So if I want to check for this case, I will check that the top value plus with the element width will be bigger than the amount that I have just scrolled up, right? So it should be correct for most of the case. So we will not miss anything. So the last one, we need to check that the element top value plus with its height will be bigger than the amount that we already scrolled down, right? We already scrolled down. So there's 4 verification boxes that we need to add to our test script, right? So before trying to code, I want to do something first that I want to do manually here on the console for you, and then you can see what is the result before we do it in the coding, okay? So here, now I want to get the window height here, so it should be windows.inner height here, and it is 744, right? And then if I scroll down a little, I want to get something like window dot page y offset here, enter, and then I need to plus for this one. So after I use the screen height plus with the amount that I already scrolled, it should be bigger than the the element on the to the top of the page, right? So I want to do something like, let me try to inspect this thing first. So this menu has the ID menu here. So what I do, I will do something like, I will see a test letter here, and then I will put the menu here. After that, I want to get the offset, offset dot top, enter. So you see it's now 32, right? If I scroll up, scroll down, I push it, it's now 1664 now. But now if I do something like the window page y offset, that means this amount that I have just scrolled down plus with the windows dot inner height, it's now 2414. 2414. It's bigger than the element to the top, so that means we satisfy the first verification part. So now I want to make sure that the element to the left should be smaller than the screen width, right? So to do that, we try to do something like left here, enter. This is 258, and I want to print out something like the window dot inner width. So you see it's bigger than the element to the left, and we need to make sure that the element to the left plus with its width, it should be still smaller than the screen inner width, right? So what I do, I will do something like let me query that one, the menu, and then what I do, I will put something like offset and dot left, right, plus with dash element again, dot the width, enter. So you see it's now 682, still smaller than the window inner width here. So we already have 3 verification ports, right? And then the last one is the tricky one, that we need to make sure that the element top plus with its height should be bigger than the amount that we have just scrolled, to make sure that it is not out of the vertical side on the top here, right? So we will do something like, it should be offset dot top here. It should be bigger than the amount of the window based offset here. It should be bigger than that amount, right? And then we can make sure that we cover all of the verification points to make sure that element is still in the viewport, right? So now, after we analyze, after we try to do manual list on the page, we need to go back and try to code something. So here you see that we have the scroll to bottom from the previous lesson. Now, before try to create another utility function, I want to explain for you the skill script function here. So if you look in detail inside this utility function that is provided from Selenium, so you see the second parameter will be the rest parameter. So that means if we provide something here, it will be an array, right? So in the previous lessons, we didn't provide anything, so that means that arrays will be empty, will be null. Okay, so but now we need to provide something in the second parameters, because you think here, you can see here, we think that we will put something like as an element on the page, because we need to put inside and then query some value like that. Okay, so try to pay attention on how I am doing, and then you can do it yourself. So what I trying to do, that if you put something public, stated booleans, because I want to return something like true or false, so it should be the return type should be a boolean value. So is element in viewport, okay? And I want to provide two parameters as the web driver instance, and I want to have an element to know what element I want to get the values from it, right? So the first one I want to get that boolean should be something like it in should be horizontal left, right? So it should be something like Java executor here. Let me try to copy and then I paste here. So now I will do something like Java executor dot execute script here, and then I will put something here, and the second one will be the element. Okay, I want to put the element here. So how can we use the element? So now you try to pay attention here. Let me try to zoom out a little. Now inside I will return, okay, I will return something in double bracket here. So in this case, what I want to return, I will return that this amount, okay, the amount of we have just scrolled, and then the window in the head here, I put it here, it should be bigger than the first arguments, because we have an array, so we need to put arguments, and you need to remember this argument is exactly like this. Okay, so the first element should be the 0 here. Okay, and then we will put something like the offset dot top here, offset dot top here. Okay, oh, it's not horizontal, so it should be vertical. Okay, because we are checking this side, vertical side here. Okay, so E is E is vertical here. So E is vertical should be E is vertical here, and this element will be the first arguments here, and it will be binding to this JavaScript snippet code. And we have something like an error here because we need to return a pooling value, but now it's not clear it's a pooling value, so we need to do a casting here. We need to cast it to be a pooling value here. Okay, and after that, for example, I will return is in vertical here. So now, before going to complete for the rest of verification box, I need to make sure that whether this snippet code is running as expected or not, right? So let me try to go back to the IDE here, and what I do, you can see in the JS executor class here. After scroll to the bottom, I want to check whether the menu is still in the ViewPort. So let's try to declare a by menu slash store equal by dot id, and the value is menu here. So what I do, I will do something like base controller is the element in the viewport, and the first element is driver, and the second one is the driver dot find element menu selector, right? And then final I will try to print out the value. So if everything's okay, after I scroll to the bottom, it will print out true here, right? So try to run it again. So now the browser is launching, and it will scroll to the bottom, and then let me see what's the problem here. Arguments dot offset is not a function, so just go back to our JavaScript here. So we can see is something arguments, right? Zero offset, argument offset. Let me see whether we have anything wrong here. So we have the argument 0 here up. You see, this is an error. So we missed this one. So this should be an element here, and then we will call the offset, okay? So that's why I said that is tricky. Again, unexpected token at the end, so of this one. And then let me try to input something like driver dot quit at the end to quit the browser. Run it again. So you see here true, it return true. So that means that JavaScript snippet code working correctly. But it is not all of the things that we need to check for to make sure whether an element is still in the viewport, right? So this is just the vertical side, and now I want to do something like pooling is in horizontal left here equal the pooling here. So it should be JavaScript executor here. Let me try to copy all the thing here. So now what I want to do is I want to check that the window should be in width here. Let me try to replace, should be in the width here. And then I will delete this one. Okay. It should be bigger than the offset dot the left, right here. And then I will do something like I will plus with this condition again. And then now I run it. Okay, perfect. And now I need to plus the left side with its width value to make sure that it is still in the view box, right? So I will drag on the right side. So I will try to rename it as the total horizontal right side here. And then let me try to put at the left side here and try to replace this one. So I want to plus with something here inside. Will be plus with the argument here, and then put with the width here, enter. And then finally I want to plus with dash as well. And then I run again. Here you see still true. So that means we have just done to tracking on the left side here. You see still smaller one, this one. And the left side plus with the element width here still smaller than this one. That means it's still in the inbox for horizontally. So, and we have just done to make sure that it's still here inside. So from the top plus with the screen height and the amount that we have just scrolled, so it's still here. So we need to make sure that it's not out of the screen on the top here. So the final one is a little tricky here. Let's try to copy here. And then you can put here. Then try to rename the top here. So in this case, you just want to check something like the window.page y offset here. That means the amount that you have just scrolled, it should be smaller than the argument and offset top plus width should be plus width. Let me try to group this one. Plus with the element, not width but the height here. Copy, put it here carefully and try to replace with the height here. Okay, and run it again. Now I forgot to plus with is in vertical top. So now need to push it here at the second one. You can put it at the end as well, but I want to keep them in the order. Okay, so now we have just done on how to check whether an element is still in the view box or not, and I analyzed carefully for you from the theory to manually and then how to put in the code correctly. So again, it is not hard, but a little tricky. So you need to make sure that you understand what we have just discussed and try to practice it yourself again. Okay. So bye for now and see you in the next lesson.